LinkedIn is no longer about text, articles, newsletters. What does it take to make a brand unforgettable on LinkedIn in 2025? Video. Video is taking center stage. Today, I sit down with a LinkedIn insider to uncover the newest trends, features. We'll talk about stats, data, all the latest stuff that are driving results on LinkedIn video with LinkedIn video in 2025. This is Strategy Talks. I'll be right back.
Let's strategize together. Let's hear it from an expert. Join the conversation, it's informative and free. You and me, let's talk some strategy. Now here's your host, Morin-van.
Hello, everybody. I'm back with another episode of Strategy Talks. I am so excited to be here today and talk about LinkedIn video. Those that know me know that I post quite a few videos. I go live every week and I am all in on LinkedIn video. So I'm very excited for this episode. Before I welcome onto the stage with me my guest for today, I want to make sure that you know that I welcome all of you here to Strategy Talks, whether you're watching on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or on YouTube, and a special welcome to those of you who listen to Strategy Talks each week as a podcast. So now I'll bring onto the stage with me Purna Virji. Purna, so excited that you're here with me today. You and I connected about LinkedIn video. We were on a panel together, if I remember correctly, and we were talking about LinkedIn video then. And so I've been wanting to have you on the show talking to my audience on video about video. So welcome.
Well, thank you, Drew. You were so ahead of the curve way back when we were on that panel together, always talking about video. So thanks for bringing me back on video to talk about video.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Purna, I'm sure you've seen video content evolve across multiple platforms. So what makes LinkedIn video unique compared to other channels? And how should brands, because, I think it's easier for an individual, but how should brands adapt their strategy when they're moving, say, from Instagram to Facebook, maybe stopping at TikTok, and now they're here on LinkedIn?
Well, that's a good question. And I think it all goes back to trends that we're seeing. It seems that people's behavior is changing right around 2020, right around the pandemic, if we've been talking about that still. But when that hit, we were starting to notice this trend that our members on LinkedIn, which, by the way, we're at 1.2 billion at the moment, but our members on LinkedIn globally were spending 3 times as much time engaging with video content than any other type of content. Like, this has been very member driven. We're seeing that people want this. And so we're finding if video is doing super, super well, then we're also seeing people wanting to go ahead and create short form video, long form video, whether it's events, LinkedIn Lives, those 1 to 2 minute videos that people put up. All of them do really well, and we're seeing a lot more people posting them. So it's such a natural progression. What we see right now is that year over year, there have been 36% increase in video viewership. So it's clearly driven by people. And the other change is because of the platform, right? Something that LinkedIn has long been known for, in addition to trust, is that our members see their time on LinkedIn as an investment in themselves, right? They're there to learn, they're there to grow professionally, personally, build their network. And so when they come on LinkedIn, they're gravitating towards videos from experts, professional experts who are sharing valuable professional advice, or sometimes just very, very relatable humor. So whether it's how to negotiate for a raise, how to future-proof your skills, how to, handle being a new manager, there's all of this awesome content, very timely to what you need, is there.
Yeah. So I am going to go off script of what I'm going to ask you next. But before we do, you said something about showing off people's expertise and doing that. I see a lot of face videos, right? So people are in front of the camera, they're doing some point of view, but most of them that I see, most of the videos in my feed are people like you and I on screen talking about their experience. Is that the power of short form video right now on LinkedIn, where people are sharing, hey, I interviewed this and this went wrong, so don't make this mistake, or here's the day in the life of, a marketer. And is that the kind of content really that people want? And is it the videos with the faces? Do you have any stats on that does better than, say, faceless videos where you show your point of view?
So that's it. I don't know if I have exact stats, but I'll share a little bit about why we're seeing so much of that. And it's just such a natural human instinct that we want to relate to people. It's the same reason why we see this lift in executive thought leadership or founder-led sales and marketing. It's because people will connect with other people before they connect with brands or nameless, faceless companies. And in B2B, which is a lot of LinkedIn, for years, it has all been about this very rational, like, let's strip all the emotion out and only talk about facts and figures. And so the content has really sounded like it could have been written by a calculator during, you know what I mean? And so having that person to come out and share and talk about it from their point of view, because yes, it's a B2B brand, but B2B buyers are human too. If you can connect with emotion, that's one of the strongest way to build memory recall, to build brand preference. So in that way, it makes sense that we're seeing this encouragement of people posting more. But second, it's just naturally we're drawn to that. So as long as the information is valuable to the audience, it's helping them, whether it's entertaining them or educating them or empowering them in some way, like that's what people are drawn to, right? Your content, and this has been true for centuries, and it will be true for centuries to come. Our content is not about us. It's not for us. It's not to make our C-suite happy. It is to be in service of our audience. So if we're creating something that our audience will say that, oh, that sounds like me, that sort of feels like what I'm going through, or that's exactly what I was thinking about, that's going to do so much better. I mean, if we think about if we take off our marketer hats and put on our consumer hats, 5-page rando white paper, 2-minute video from the subject matter expert talking about it. I mean, it's for most people would choose the video.
Yeah. So I agree with that. Then we have pushback from stakeholders, right? Yeah. They're like, I have heard this over and over in meetings, but our competitors, right? They're referencing back to what's always been done and what's expected in the industry. What do you say to those doubters? What do you say to those that like, our CEO should not be on video, or our CFO should stay in his lane, or, let's not get these executives on video, or let's just post an image? What do you say to those people to get them to understand or get them to move that needle in video?
So I think for that, and we hear that a lot, it's not an uncommon objection. And I can fully empathize with that, because for so long, I mean, B2B especially, we want to think about risk, we want to think about brand, and it's so easy in this era of cancel culture to take a wrong step, but it's actually more risky if you don't than riskier if you do. And I'll come to that in a second. But what I try to think about is you as the person, as the CEO, as the executive, will know much more about your voice, and it's your brand tends to shape the perception of the whole brand. Like, think about any other company. Like, if you could name any big popular company, you'd think about their CEO. You'd think that they have even more followers. So let's take our parent company, for example, Microsoft. If you look at Microsoft's LinkedIn page, they have a really good number of followers. I go to Satya Nadella's page. He's got almost double that. And that is true for so many companies, right? People will gravitate towards hearing from the human. It feels relatable. And I would just show them what other people are doing. And when it feels very awkward or when you're feeling scared, a good place to start is start by simply solving problems. So the McDonald's CEO does a fantastic job, but it's just him sitting at his desk and he's talking to the camera, talking about just common questions that he gets from the team. Or, for example, he'll get leadership questions from somebody to be like, hey, I remember there's something that stood out to me was he was saying, somebody said that, hey, I am just low-level McDonald's employee. How can I impact the company? And he just gave such a motivating, 1 or 2 minute talk about what they can do and how he's thought about that. And it's just, you feel very differently about the company before watching and after watching. And that is the biggest change in sort of the goodwill, etc., that can be born. And so in social media is also, we're not a one-way platform. This isn't television. This isn't radio. This isn't broadcast. You're there for the dialogue. And so you want to open up to that questions. You want your audience to feel heard. You want to reward them with responding. So those are some things. I'm so curious, what do you say, Doreen? Because you've been so ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I see still a lot of resistance. And then the people that do get on video, they don't know what to say. I actually just hosted a video retreat with small business owners in Vermont, teaching them about short form video, talking to them. And one of the issues that we run into, they're like, we just don't know what to say. And I said, well, instead of talking about your features or what your products or what you're offering, talk about the transformation that happens when people either hire you or buy your products. And so we put into practice, and it took a little bit of time to see it, but once they got it, they got it. And I think that's what I want to encourage anybody that's watching this. If you have stakeholders who are resistant to this, first do what Purna said, show them the McDonald's CEO, find some other stakeholders who are doing this, who are the trailblazers, who said, I'm not afraid to sit in front of a video and answer some questions, and then show them the stats that go with that, the, increase in engagement, the questions that come in, and say, you can do this too. It's not a huge time commitment. If you're a CEO, you're going to have a team that can do the editing, that can help you answer. You don't necessarily need to be on social all the time. Being visible on social is different than being on social. I want to make that distinction too, especially for stakeholders. Because if you have a team, if as long as you're willing to make the video, they can do a lot of that engagement for you and the posting and the editing and all of that. If you're a team of one, then that's you. But I see pushback, but I also see more people doing it. But here is something that I see, and you might have different people in your feed, Purna. I see a lot of male stakeholders jumping into this trend. Haven't seen that many female stakeholders getting.
No, I see both. I see a really good, healthy mix of both. And while you were speaking there, I was like, I know we had the latest stats at LinkedIn, so I wanted to get that for you. So if we're talking about the C-suite alone, here's 2 numbers that can make the case. So one is 52% more CEOs are posting now versus a couple of years ago. And there's a 23% lift in CEOs sharing video content year over year versus last year. So there's loads of people already doing it. Get ahead of the curve, be a part of it, and they're doing it because it works. Like the other objection I get is, where's the time? Or, again, what do I talk about? Is that you can find the time as if you can block off, even if you block off an hour or 2 a week to just gather your thoughts and batch create a couple of pieces of content. You could still schedule it. You can post twice a week and still see good results if you post consistently. And my favorite tip is, if you can train your mind to think like a reporter, like your entire calendar, like your work calendar is like a buffet of good content. if you are having, there's always findings in every meeting that you have. There could be an aha moment. For me personally, I do a lot of mentoring. I'm a big believer in mentoring and being mentored. And so then if something comes up, if I've addressed something with a mentee, I'm like, oh, that's really good advice. I could share it in a video. And it takes me no time at all because I've already talked about it. I've got the advice. It's fresh in my head. I'll note it down if I'm not ready to record at that time, or if I'm ready to record, I just use my phone, speak into it, use, a tool like CapCut that's all based on my phone. That's, it doesn't take time. It doesn't take a lot of fancy equipment. All of that works.
I love that tip. That's one of the tips that I use with my clients. I said, when you have that client call, that customer, the customer conversation, you do a demo and you have success, you have that energy, right? That excitement that you're ready to share with the team. Before you share it with the team, share it with me. Create a 1 to 2 minute video and send it to me, because that is gold. When you're on your game, when you've just closed the deal, or you've just had the most amazing conversation, or that aha moment, capture that, because it's not just the words, it's how you say it. And when you're high on that, when you're so excited, that excitement shows through in your videos 100%.
And if you can't, I love that so much. And so like a yes and to that would be, even if, let's say you're like, well, I'm completely time strapped, I've only got 2 minutes before my next call, record that voice memo so you can hear that excitement of yourself to capture it. That's such a genius idea of that emotion in the moment to get that there. And then then you can just take the transcription and then have it, then write it later. It'll save you 80% of the writing time.
Yeah.
Both memos are great.
Yeah. I think that a lot of us, I think a lot of people, a lot of business owners, even marketers, are afraid of unscripted things. And that's something that I'm watching the video feed in LinkedIn, the, short form video, there's trending topics in there. A lot of things in there seem a little more scripted to me. But I think that if you are starting out with LinkedIn and you want to do vertical video, do some of these more unscripted, from the heart conversations that you would have with your bestie. Pretend your bestie is on the other side of the camera and just be like, oh my God, I can't believe what just happened. And then tell the story. Those are the kind of videos with that emotional hook that really, really will get people to stop the scroll and pay attention. And once you get good at that, then go to all those trending topics and create content actually that people are searching for and looking for. But initially, we all have to start somewhere, right? And one of the things that I said about this retreat that I just did is that, creating video is one thing, editing is a second, but actually publishing it, that's like gold. So we were going to mine for gold, and we got people to publish videos. And I think that's huge. If you could just get through that whole process and start publishing and then get feedback and publish more and get feedback, that's how you get started on that. So Purna, when we talk about short form and vertical video, how do we need to rethink our approach to storytelling? Because the stories are so much shorter, right? We're not talking, big, corporate sounding or feeling videos, because we're having maybe a talking head, we're having this vertical face, the vertical video, and we need to be shorter. So if we're helping as a marketer, or as a, helping a stakeholder, or we're the stakeholder, we're the small business owner, how do we think about storytelling? Do we need do we need a storyboard? Do we need multiple takes? Can we just do a one kind of thing? What should we think about?
Well, I love your advice so much, Doreen. I feel like everyone just listen, play back. Like the last few minutes are just absolute gold. So do that. You only learn by doing. And so I would say to that is, why don't you crawl, walk, and run? So if you're going to think to yourself, oh, I'm going to start and I need to have this all storyboarded, I'm going to have to do this all complicated, guess what? You'll never do it. So done is better than like perfect idea living in our heads, isn't it? So as the cliche is, right, constraints breed creativity. So if you only have 1 or 2 minutes, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. So you can have as much time as you need. We do tend to see 1 to 2 minutes perform best on the platform so far. So I'll caveat it at that. Vertical, yes, because then you can get into like the vertical video feed, which is the sort of embedded feed that you can scroll past. So that's handy. Open with a hook. Like your hook is your biggest part of the post. You want to jump in and like the what's in it for me, the why should I watch should be immediately obvious to your audience. Now, hook doesn't mean that very salesy. It doesn't have to be that. It's just, what is the value exchange that I'm going to get? Like, is it some kind of intrigue? Is it, something that's going to get them to grab attention? So you can look at that and then stick to one point. So if it's only a couple of minutes, you're not going to get to go all over the map. One video, one topic. And that's it makes it easier on you as well. So if you had to talk to somebody, if you were giving advice to a mentee or, a valued friend or a peer, how would you explain it to them? Use that exactly that way. Just keep it natural. If you keep it very obviously scripted, people can tell, right? Your energy always shows. If you're feeling awkward, your energy is going to show. Here's the thing, you can record 10 takes if you want the first time. The first 5 times, maybe you'll record 10 takes, but after that, it's easier, better. Then soon you'll become like a one-take wonder. And then you'll be like, oh, now I've done this. Now let me experiment. Now let me try to add in visual hooks, right? And take inspiration all around you. Like, look at TikTok. Like, TikTok does that really well. If you notice on TikTok, you'll have the person jump right in mid-sentence. There's no big introduction, everything. Like, that's awesome. You'll see different visual hooks, like people putting, like for women, it's like putting on makeup while talking, or doing something in the kitchen, right? Having something to look at visually and listen orally is also really great to hold attention. You have people sometimes sitting there with their coffee cup, so it feels like a conversation. It's whatever feels natural to you, that's authentic to who you are, is what you go with. Because look, I'm a pretty extroverted, I will talk off the cuff. I am annoyingly a think to talk person a talk to think person rather than the more calm think to talk. So if I try to come across as all buttoned up and quiet, it's just not me. And you'll sense that I'm being inauthentic, because that's just not who I am. And so it's okay, because when you start to feel maybe a little cringe, a little embarrassment to post, that's your signal that you should post, because that's what sets you apart. That's slightly different. That's your hook, and you're just different from all the samey stuff out there.
I love that. And I love what you just said about showing that authenticity. And that gets us into the next thing of video, kind of the elephant in the room. People are using AI to create video. They're using AI to edit video. They're using AI to script video. They're using AI to, enhance video. What do you see happening, and how in this sea of AI and these tools that we're using, what I'm seeing is it's even more important to show up on video, right? Because now you're real, you're there. What are you seeing, and what do you expect to see, even just in the next 3 months or 6 months? Because, a year, so much can change. We know in the last year, the whole landscape of marketing has changed because of AI. What do you see happening with AI as far as video?
Well, I think that there's the good, and then there's the question mark. So I'll start with a lot of the good, because there are, like, sometimes in the hype cycles, it's so easy to forget about the good. But what these AI-powered tools have done is they just lowered the barrier for entry. They make it easy. You don't have to be, spend thousands on a studio or have access to any kind of massive budgets or book locations and cameras. Like, you can now, how amazing is it that we can sit at home, record a video on our phones, edit it in an app, almost, use automatic captions and everything there to make it more inclusive. We can add filters. Like, so often if I have really bad dark circles, I'm just going to be like, filter, blur, get it out. It's like lovely to make you feel more confident, right? It's It's so cool. And I'll look at that every day. So whether I'm looking at LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok or any platform, right? I'll see, so I'm Indian, and I'll see like Indian grandmoms posting cooking videos. And I love that so much because I think about my own grandmom. Like, it would have been unfathomable for her to do that. And now just to see people finding this new joy and passion in life for being content creators, it's amazing. Like, during your content creator, there's so much joy and love. And I mean, of course, it's stressful, but there's joy ultimately, which is why we do it. But so AI is helping, and so use the tools. Like, if you have incredible ideas and you're just not sure how to translate them into your deliverable, yes, use the tools. But then if I go to the question mark, the issue is if we do very surface level AI. So regardless of what tool you use, because ultimately it's not about the tools, it's about the approach, right? If we use very surface level tools that are like, hey, AI assistant, I want to write a video about, I want to write a script about video on LinkedIn, and I want to promote video on LinkedIn. It would give me something super generic. There would be nothing of me in it. It would be just samey as everyone else, which is why you'll hear or see sometimes in your feed, everything's looking and sounding the same. It's like, well, then I'll just scroll past, right? Scrolling past is no effort, right? What's taking effort is actually stopping to engage with the content. And so then it's like, no. Your tool is just a tool. It's you are the artist, right? I can take a paintbrush. Michelangelo can take a paintbrush, and it's very clear the difference in end results, right? How can you use it well is make sure you tell it your idea. You're the start of the idea. You are the one that goes out there like, this is the message. This is what I want to say. Like, here's the structure I want it to be. Help me decide on what should the shots be. Like, what do I do as a medium shot or a close up? People aren't trained on that language of filming. So then maybe AI could help you with that. Or you could say, polish this up, or co-create, and maybe create the first draft of the script, the ugly first draft, as any writer dreads, and then you can go in and then edit and make it your own, and ultimately it should still be you. So that's how I would use AI to be a much better way, which is look at it as, hey, what are cool video trends that are really popular right now that I may not have heard about? How can I make this script? Or say, I've been posting video for a while, maybe it's not doing that well. What else can I do? And get ideas from it. Help me polish up a script, help me do something, but make sure that the human touch, you can't outsource the work, right? I would pay somebody millions to go to the dentist for me if I could, right? If I could get the effects, please go get the root canal. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. If I could pay somebody to go to the gym for me and diet for me, it would be awesome. But sadly, there are some things that we can't. We can make it easier. We can make it much more pleasant, but you got to do the work.
You got to do the work. And this is where actually you just made this, you just said something. I don't want to go to the gym and I don't want to run, but I'm a runner. When I go run, when I have an accountability partner, when I have somebody alongside me. So if this is going to be something that I think that you and I agree on, that if you are at this beginning of the journey of LinkedIn video and you want to jump in, find a mentor, right? Find somebody that is already doing video and connect with them, talk to them, bounce ideas back and forth. You can also bounce ideas back and forth on, say, like a chat GPT or, whatever large language model you use as a thinking partner, as a sparring partner. But find somebody to talk to about video and then have an accountability partner. Like, I'm posting 3 videos a week. Will you do it as well, right? And then checking up and then supporting each other and cheering each other on. That can make a huge difference. I mean, it can make a huge difference in any project you want to take on, but especially in video. And here's one last tip from me. If you're afraid to be on camera by yourself, do something what you and I are doing right here. Do a
Mm.
video podcast, because interviewing somebody, it's just a conversation you're having with a friend or a colleague, right? So anybody can do that. We do this all the time. We just don't always record it. But when you're having a conversation with somebody, the conversation flows, the words flow, because it's natural, because you have that one-on-one conversation. The difference is you're just going to record it and then you can edit afterwards. So if you're still hesitant, grab a partner.
Oh, genius. I love that. That's so smart. And that sparked an idea in my head, what you said, Doreen, which is you could even do that whether it's a text post, or even if you can't find somebody else willing to come on video for you, you could report back on conversations. You could be like, hey, I was sitting down with Doreen yesterday. We were talking about video, and Doreen's advice was XYZ. You're reporting it. It's your post. You're also highlighting a colleague whose work is phenomenal. So you'll get the good karma points for that. And it feels less personal, right? Because you're not saying like, I believe in this. So if you're first getting started and you're uncomfortable, just quote Doreen like all day. There's so much goodness. Follow Doreen, watch all her videos, just keep quoting her all day in all your posts. So yeah.
Well, I want people to get to know you on LinkedIn, Purna, because once you and I were connected on the panel last year, I started following your videos, and you have great wisdom. I can see where, your leadership and your videos really make an impact on those that you work with and that you're a mentor. So you're obviously active on LinkedIn. Are there any other places that people should connect with you? Or is it just like, hey, follow me on LinkedIn?
I think LinkedIn is where I'm most active. I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. Again, not because I work there, but because I genuinely love the platform. I'm also on TikTok, and that would be the other place. And then I'm on Reddit a lot. That's the only one I use. But
okay. Yeah. That's sort of cool. All right. Well, I will be back next week with another episode of Strategy Talks. I really enjoyed this conversation so much. I've been looking forward to talking to you, Purna, about LinkedIn video strategies. And I hope that you, when you were watching and listening, got something out of this too. And don't forget, if you're looking for somebody to link arms with, right here on LinkedIn, follow Purna, follow me, and we'll show and tell you how it's done with video, because both of us are creating vertical videos. And of course, I'm doing the live show as well for our audience. So I'll be back next week. See you later. Bye, everybody. And thank you so much, Purna.
Thank you.